All right, guys, I've gotten a lot of questions about which stocks I pick and what my watch list is like, so I'm going to make a quick video about it. So I always just like to keep a track on Bitcoin. Not that I have any money invested in Bitcoin, but I just kind of want to see what's going on. Maybe if it drops back down to like 3,000 or 4,000, like it did a few weeks ago, maybe I'll dip my toes in. If it's going to go back up to 6 or 7, I think that's what's going to happen. But I haven't really delved into the world of crypto. But these are stocks that I keep an eye on to trade options on. I just keep an eye on SPY. For SPY, because it trades at $280 or so right now, it's very expensive. So you have to keep in mind that you have to look at the stock prices and then multiply it by 100, because every option contract is 100 shares of that stock. So in order to sell cash covered puts, you would need $28,000, or actually more than $28,000 for SPY. But I keep an eye on it because it's a good indicator of what the overall market is doing. I mean, really the S&P 500, but in general, it follows the overall market a lot. But then I look at individual stocks as well. And the way I select my stocks is I want to trade options in good companies, or what I think are good companies. And what are good companies to me might be different from what's a good company to you. But I like to trade stocks that I know what the company is about, I know what they do, and I like their products. So a lot of mine are very tech heavy, right? Because that's what I'm into. There's other companies out there like Salesforce, which has a ticker of CRM, that I know a lot of people like to trade and has good, reviews as far as its stock. But I don't really understand what that company does, so that's why I try and stay away from it. But things like Apple, we all know what Apple is. We all know that Apple's a good company. The other thing you want to look at when evaluating stocks to trade is their debt. Because in times like these, when companies have a lot of debt, they're not doing well, right? Because they don't have a lot of cash reserves to stay afloat. So these big companies like Apple and Facebook and Google, they have plenty of money and not a lot of debt. So they're good, right? They're good. They're not going to go bankrupt. That's another thing you want to think about, is that could this company go under, right? You don't want to deal with that because you don't want to end up bag holding a company as it goes to zero. So Apple's a good company. I like AMD because, one, I'm into tech. They're really killing the game right now with their processors. And the stock price is not very expensive. It's trading around the $50 mark. So, for a cash secured put, you only need $5,700 right now, which is doable. A lot more doable than $28,000, right? Amazon is not going anywhere, obviously, but it's incredibly expensive, right? Because in order to buy 100 shares of Amazon, you're going to need what? $239,000? I mean, that's crazy. Disney, I haven't invested any stock in Disney, but I'm just keeping an eye on it because it just keeps dropping lower and lower. So maybe at some point, when this pandemic is towards the end of it, I'll buy into Disney, because then once the theme parks open up and maybe more people are buying Disney Plus and whatnot, and more movies come out, hopefully the stock will go back up. So I'm just keeping an eye on Disney, but I haven't really thought of getting into it yet. Again, Facebook, another tech company, we all know what it does. They have a ton of money and not a lot of debt. So that's one good thing about Facebook. Same thing with Google. We all know what Google is, right? Google's not going anywhere. IBM, it's another tech stock, kind of like AMD, but a little bit more expensive. Again, I haven't dealt with it yet, but I just keep an eye on it. Intel, right? Main competitor of AMD, similar in price. So just keep an eye on that one. IWM, it tracks the Russell 2000. So it's kind of like SPY, except for the Russell 2000. But because of that, it's very volatile, but it's cheaper, right? So again, I keep an eye on that. But when I say it's volatile, it goes down by a lot, but also goes up by a lot, or has pretty big swings compared to SPY, normally. KO is Coca-Cola, right? We all know what Coca-Cola is. Maybe you don't like Coca-Cola, maybe you like Pepsi, so you should look at Pepsi stock instead. I chose Coca-Cola, not necessarily because I like Coca-Cola over Pepsi, but more because it's more liquid, so it's much easier to trade options on. There's much more volume on Coca-Cola options, so that's why I like Coca-Cola. And again, it's pretty cheap. It's under $50. Microsoft, again, we all know what Microsoft is. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. Mu is Micron, so they produce chips. So, we use chips in our cell phones and everything. Not chips, not like potato chips, chips like as in computer chips. So I haven't dealt with this yet, but I know they're a pretty popular option stock, so I've just kept it on my watch list. Netflix, we all know what that is. Triple Q, it's just like SPY except for the NASDAQ 100, but again, it's a little bit pricey at $212. Space is a new one I've just added to my watch list. It's for Virgin Galactic. It's really cheap right now at $18. This stock just went public at the end of 2019, so it hasn't been around for too long, but when it peaked up in February before the downturn, it was at like $37, so it's almost half price right now. So I just kept an eye on it because if you're a believer in space travel and like that, it might be good to get in early, right? Before this blows up to be the next Tesla or something. So I've kept it on my watch list. I haven't traded options on it yet, but I know some people trade it. It's kind of a meme stock, so just be careful with that. Same with Tesla. It's really expensive, but it has very, very wild swings in its price for almost no apparent reason. It's kind of a meme stock as well. But again, this stock, its premiums are crazy high. And it's crazy high because it's so darn volatile. But remember, you need $74,000 to trade a cash secured put on this. So it's quite a big amount of money. Just be careful with that. V is Visa, right? Visa's not going anywhere. So I'm just kind of waiting for the stock to drop and then maybe start selling some options on it. So if I get assigned, I get it at a cheap price. But a few weeks ago, this Visa was in the 140s. So even at 160 right now, even though it was down 3% today, it's still not as cheap as I want it. And then Walmart, we all know what Walmart is. Walmart's been actually pretty steady or going up during this pandemic. So again, like this is a very stable stock. So my point is that if I were to get assigned shares of any of these stocks on my watch list, I really wouldn't mind. And that's what one key factor is when I choose stocks. This is a list of about 20 stocks, so it gives me plenty of options to decide what I want to trade any given day or week. So let me know what stocks are on your watch list. Leave a comment, subscribe and like to the channel. And if you have any advice for other videos you'd like me to make, let me know. Thanks a lot and happy trading.